Camillus Robinson, Bipolar Mechanic. I've got a countdown today of the top 10 cars of the Elkhart Collection. Really incredible to go to this auction, see all these cars in person. I'll never experience anything like this again. Every museum, every auction, anything I've ever been to has never been so specific, just the cars zeroed in of exactly what I like. So 10 to 1, the cars that earned the most money, and all the auction earned $44.4 million. So I estimated it would be 50, but the collector car market with COVID and everything seems to be down a little bit from what it normally would be. So the Sotheby's was guessing 30. I don't remember what he originally spent on it, but I guessed 50. We were off a little bit. I was closer than I was off. So top 10 cars, 10 to 1. The most expensive in the auction. I tried to spend plenty of time filming each one of these. I knew what was going to go for the highest money. So take a look, let me know what you think, and tell me if you thought these would be the highest or not too.
Number 10 on the list, we've got the 1954 Fiat Autovu by Carrozzeria Vignale. This is one of 3 Autovus in the auction and one of 2 by Vignale. It was based on a Demon Rouge design with that red and the aggressive black going down the hood and that black roof, the two-tone car there with the wire wheels. It's got the red piping on the seats, the wooden steering wheel, that long gear shifter. This car was just aggressive sitting there, the Vignale badge down there on the right side of the fender. Really an impressive car, and it was a good way to start off the top 10. These Autovus are so rare. Number 9 is a 1967 Toyota 2000 GT, $912,500. These cars were one of 62 original left-hand drive units in the U.S. market. The original owner was famed American driver Otto Linton. He held on to it for 30 years. This has always been a personal favorite for me. It's my first time seeing one in person. It's actually smaller than a first-generation RX-7, much smaller than it looks. And it was designed to compete with the Jaguar E-Type. It was a little bit more expensive than the E-Type when it came out. You can see it's got that wooden steering wheel, wooden gear shift lever, wooden dash. The 2000 GT really showed the rest of the world that Japan was going to be a major power in the auto industry. Up until this point, they had economy cars sort of get around, and most of their cars had stayed in Japan. The 2000 GT was really a sign to the world. It was a partner effort with Toyota and Yamaha. The number 8 car coming up is a 1969 Lamborghini Miura P400S by Carrozzeria Bertone. This was designed by Marcello Gandini when he was young. This is one of his first designs. This is an older, well-maintained restoration, but man, it was good looking with that black leather and the yellow. It was a really revolutionary design by Lamborghini, that mid-engine V12. Up until now, Ferrari and Maserati both had front-engine cars. Lamborghini had one before, but Lamborghini now, all of their cars are rear-engine V10, V12. Ferrari would go on to produce a mid-engine V12. Maserati would come in with a mid-engine V8. This car changed the way the world perceived supercars going forward. The Miura was the trend-setting car, and cars period, would never be the same. Number 7 is a 1955 Jaguar D-Type continuation. The first of 3 continuations. This car went for $1,325,000. These cars were designed by Jaguar Classic. This is the first of 25 built. It's finished in what's called Scottish Racing Blue from the famous Écurie-Écosse racing team. Écurie-Écosse won at Le Mans in 1956 with this car in this configuration. This specific car, but the first-hand, this is another personal favorite. The D-Type has always been the car that really did it for me. It's got these bulging pontoon fenders flowing into the lights, this wide open maw of a grille where the air just flows in over the engine. Big, long, inline 6-cylinder, 3.8. This car would do 150, 160 down the Mulsanne straight. And they won Le Mans in 55, 56, and 57 with the D-Type. These continuation cars were so rare and hard to get when Jaguar Classics came out with them, and this guy had several of them. 3 of them top this list. Number 6 was the iconic 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, $1,495,000 when the gavel fell. It was originally delivered to Scuderia Ferrari driver Umberto Maglioli. He was driving for Ferrari and he still took delivery of this Mercedes supercar. It's got those Gullwing doors, that dry sump lubrication, the silver of the German racing team. This car was matching numbers chassis, engine, gearbox, and body, making it one of the most original 300 SLs on the planet. This was a race car for the road when Mercedes came out with these. It was so sleek, it really changed the game as far as what could be driven. Number 5 is a 1963 Jaguar E-Type lightweight continuation. When these came out, Jaguar Classics commissioned them. This was the first of 7 lightweight classics built by Jaguar Classic. This was the original North American press car, known as car number 0. This was the prominent car in this guy's collection. You can see it's on the disc there in the center of the room. He's got a miniature right there to the side of it. These cars were designed for collectors, specific Jaguar buyers. It was very difficult to get these. The E-Type in its day, the lightweight, was nicknamed the GTO Killer in the early 60s. This was the race car to beat back then, and this was clearly his favorite car in his collection. Number 4 is the 1955 Cooper-Jaguar T38 Mk II for $1,765,000. Up until this point, 1955, John Cooper had only built and worked on minis, Mini Coopers. He had souped them up. He took this car, a D-Type. This was the second of 3 examples built. This is powered by a Jaguar XK engine. It basically is a D-Type. He contoured the body and shaped it to make it more aerodynamic. It had 6 victories at Goodwood and Silverstone between 1956 and 1957. It was a very winning car. It's set up for use at vintage racing. You can see by the badges that's what it's been used for, and that's likely what it'll continue to be used for. Very rare, these Cooper Jaguars, and Cooper would continue to go on to design race cars into the 60s. The number 3 car is a 1957 Jaguar XKSS continuation. This is a $1,985,000. The most famous examples of these is the original that was owned by Steve McQueen. He called it his Little Green Rat. This was the first time one of these cars has ever been offered publicly. The rest are all still with their original owners or wherever they are. This is one of only 5 produced by Jaguar Classics. This was basically a D-Type that Jaguar put a windshield on, put some leather seats in, and called it a road car. They had some extra stock when they changed over to the E-Type and said, these are for sale, have at them. It was a dry sump lubrication, race car for the road. You get in it and you head off. They're not even real doors, they're portholes that are cut out. And driving this car, you were the king of the streets. Number 2 is a 1954 Fiat Autovu Supersonic by Ghia, the second Autovu on this list. $2,040,000, one of only 15 Supersonics originally built by Carrozzeria Ghia. It was designed to look like it was in motion even when still, the way that chrome and the paint just flow across it. The original owner was Henri Lauve, who was a designer for GM. He worked on the early Corvette and Buick LeSabre under Harley Earl, the head of GM design through the 30s, 40s, and 50s. You can see why a car designer would want this car. It's so revolutionary. It makes such a statement with that stainless steel gear shifter. What an incredible car. And seeing one in person, wow. Number 1, of course, is the 1952 Ferrari 225S Berlinetta, also by Carrozzeria Vignale. $2.810 million. These Vignale Ferraris are so rare and valuable now, and this car had several career victories. It was the 2nd overall in the 1952 12 Hours of Casablanca, the 4th overall in the 1952 Monaco Grand Prix, 10th overall in the 1952 Mille Miglia. This was a Mille Miglia car. It's in that Rosso Corsa, the race red. Racing history equals money in vintage Ferraris, in any vintage cars, and these old Ferraris go for millions. This was $2.8 million. Anytime you see a Ferrari at an auction, it's got those unique designs. They won races. This was a V12, and that wooden steering wheel, the iconic dash. You would drive this car to the race, 12 hours, 24 hours in the race, 1,000-mile race. You would drive it back to your villa in the south of France or in North Italy. This car, these Ferraris, these Uri Vignales, really set the standard for cars going forward. This is back when Enzo Ferrari was designing race cars, he put out a few cars for the road just to pay for his racing habits. And these early Vignale Ferraris rarely ever come up.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the countdown. 10 to 1, the top selling cars in the Elkhart Collection that brought in the most money. $1 million, $2 million cars. Seeing so many of my personal grail cars, the Jaguar D-Type, the 2000 GT. I know I got a little long-winded in those videos. They don't call me the bipolar mechanic for nothing. You get all those synapses firing, all those people, all that stimulation. You're going to go on. It was just on overload. So I know things got a little phenomenal if you saw the videos, but it was a lot of fun. So remember, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. We're going to get back to working on my 1966 MG Midget and try and get it going. I really appreciate anything anybody has to contribute to help me going. Got a few more things to do to it, and I've got a few more videos to post. I'm going to get a new engine hopefully this week, not for my car, but just to start working on. So we'll make some videos on that, how to tear down an engine. It's not something I've done before, but it's something I'm looking forward to doing. So take a look at the videos, take a look at the collection. Subscribe to the channel if you like it. We're going to see what we can do. We'll get into restoring this car, maybe some more cars in the future, and I'm glad to have you. Take care, guys.